We're joined today by Clarence Keesman, Executive Director of the Refuge Youth Center. The Refuge has been a safe place for at-risk youth. Today, we'll learn more about the challenges young people are facing and how the Refuge is stepping in to meet those needs. Well, welcome to the show, Clarence. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure to be here.
So, the Refuge has actually been serving vulnerable youth since 1999. So, maybe for those who don't know what you do, can you explain a little bit about what the Refuge offers and how you're helping young people find a place of hope and belonging?
Yeah, certainly. So the Refuge, like you said, started in 1999. We work with homeless, street, at-risk, and struggling youth in the Durham region. Just some numbers. Last year, we interacted with about 554 different young people who came to us, and they came to us 13,272 times. And during that time, we served about 28,000 meals. Our mission statement is to show Jesus Christ's love and kindness to the youth of our community through practical and compassionate means of intervention and prevention. That simply means we want to love the youth like Jesus loves them, and meet their needs practically, emotionally, and spiritually. So we serve breakfast and lunch. We have laundry facilities. We have access to clothing and personal hygiene programs, have counseling programs, outdoor programs, and we just started doing affordable housing this past May because there's such a tremendous need for affordable housing, not just in Durham, but all across Canada.
Yeah, it's such incredible work. I know a lot of people who have volunteer actually at your center. I personally have been involved with the Refuge Youth Center. So just seeing the incredible work and the difference you're making in young people's lives. So thank you to you and your team for the work that you do.
Mm. You're
Uh,
welcome.
Yeah, today's Youth Day, actually, it's a time to really celebrate and do what you're doing, advocating for young people. So, what does Youth Day mean to you and the Refuge as a whole? Like, why is it important to recognize and celebrate this next generation?
Well, I think most people would agree. The youth are our future, and if we don't pour into the youth today and help them overcome the struggles that they face, our future is pretty bleak. And also, I mean, for us, because we're a youth serving agency, God loves these youth, regardless of the path that they are on. Again, historically, here at the Refuge, about 72% have experienced physical or sexual abuse in their past. And those things manifest themselves through addictions, through harmful behaviors, through just even homelessness. And so, I mean, every youth who comes to the Refuge is made in God's image. They are, to quote Steve Bell, a Canadian musician, songwriter, they are God's good idea, and we seek to treat them as such, to be that family and community, a place where youth are loved, they're nurtured, they're encouraged, they're safe, and belong because they are our future. And if we don't invest today, what do we have left?
Yeah, and many of them have never been told how important they are, how they're created, and who they are
Yeah.
in Jesus. So I love that. It's beautiful. And you did touch a little bit on this, but what are some of the biggest challenges that youth are facing right now? And then how does the refuge step in to meet those needs?
So, I think there's two things. One, it would be housing. And again, this is from the perspective of the refuge and the youth with whom we work. One is housing, and the second is community. We live in a world that's so filled with media and digital content as I speak on Zoom here. But there's a lack of community that I see amongst all youth in society. I remember a day when you'd drive down the streets and you'd see kids playing or hanging out or doing whatever. You don't see that so much anymore. People are on devices, they're streaming content, they're looking at social media, and this sense of community, I feel, isn't as strong as it should be or as needed. I mean, God created us for community. If we haven't learned that in the past 5 years, I don't think we've learned anything at all. God exists within himself in community. And so that's one of the big things that we do here at the Refuge is, again, we want them to feel like they have a place to belong. Many of them have not had families that have supported them. They come from abusive or destructive families. And so we become, as best we can, that sense of family for the youth, that they can feel that love, that nurture, that sense of community. Just even yesterday, we had a beach day where we paddleboarded and kayaked with the youth, and many of them have never had that opportunity before. And so just creating that sense of community. And then the second thing for our youth is housing. Housing is so difficult to find in this market. A single bedroom apartment here in Oshawa ranges about $1,700. A bachelor suite is $1,100 to $1,200. And if you're a single individual on social assistance, you're only getting $752 a month. And so you have no place to live. You can't find an affordable place to live.
Wow, yeah. Thanks for bringing light to that. I think that's important. I mean, I think of community. We can all work on that. We all need that, right? It's something of human nature, and so bringing that to young people at a young age, it's so important. Well, we're going to continue this conversation about the work that you're doing. So stay with us as Clarence reflects on new opportunities and meaningful moments that remind him why this work truly matters. Well, we're back with Clarence Keesman, who is Executive Director of the Refuge Youth Center. And recently, you guys have just acquired a new space. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, it's a new location that's larger. It's going to provide more spacing for youth and programs. So, what does this move really mean for you and for the youth that you serve? How does it create new opportunities that weren't possible before?
Yeah. So the biggest opportunity, as I was talking about housing, is we purchased a vacant school building. It's been a 5-year project, and I have many gray hairs or no hairs because of it. But it allowed us to use part of the facility for affordable housing. I talked about how housing is largely unaffordable for many of the youth who come to the refuge, and many of the youth who don't, who are out there in the Durham region. And so we have 26 affordable housing units. Now, these are self contained bachelor suites, studio suites, some call them. They have their own kitchen, their own washroom, their own locking door, their own heating and cooling, their own internet connection. It's an apartment, and we were charging about $425 a month for those youth. So it truly becomes affordable. So it's a place that they can call home. It's a
Mhm.
place where they can grow and heal from often their abusive pasts. It's a place to find community. One quick story: we welcomed youth for the first time in May of this year. And we had a plan to staged occupancy because we have never housed people before. I don't want to move 26 in and then experience problem after problem. And so we had a planned staged occupancy where in May we only moved a few in and then added more in June. Again, in August, we added more. And so one of the young men who moved into one of the units, he was an HVAC technician. He lost his job, he lost his place, ended up on the streets, couldn't find another job because he didn't have a physical address and he was just trying to survive. And so he was one of the ones who moved in May and found his apartment. And then within a few weeks, once again had a job working in the industry because he had a physical address. But more importantly, he started dreaming about his future again, right? What his future could look like. And so that's what excites me is for 26 youth, this is life changing. This is a home. I mean, Maslow's hierarchy would say without, the food and water, without housing, we don't progress into anything else. And so without that component, youth are stagnant and they stay where they're at just in a survival mode. And for 26, this is life changing and it's so exciting to see.
Yeah, and I think too of those 26, it's changing their lives and it's changing lives around them, right? It changes their future and therefore it changes those that become part of their community and their life. So, what an incredible opportunity. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that. What are you seeing, a place like the Refuge? What are some other transformations or changes that you're seeing for youth who specifically are facing homelessness or instability and then they become a part of a safe place like the Refuge?
Yeah, it doesn't always work. Sometimes youth leave the refuge because they age out of our program because our age is 16 to 26, and they find themselves back on the street. But for many, it doesn't. It doesn't always look that way. I'll give you a story, a quick one. So we have a Christmas party every year. We invite not just current youth, but but older youth, people who have been part of the program. I mean, family is family. If you're part of family, we all come together and celebrate Christmas. And I remember this past Christmas talking to, a couple. He early in my time at the refuge, he was sleeping in a parking garage. He was one of the youth who left his home up in the north because his family didn't have financial resources, and so he figured if he left, it would unburden the family. And so he slept in parking garages. She had trouble at home with her mom, single parent family, divisions there. She ended up on the streets as well. That's where they met together. And I'm talking with them and their two teenage kids now who are still at home, who are still at school. And suddenly I realized a cycle of poverty has been broken, right?
Mhm.
These two young people, their kids, are now doing well. They have a stable home. They're in school. They will graduate, and they're getting everything that their mom and dad didn't. And I'm not going to say it's just because of a place like the refuge, because we're all community. We all contribute to individual development and success. But just seeing these things and another family where cycles of poverty have been broken, it's very rewarding, and it reminds us why we do what we do, because Jesus called us to be, salt and light to the world, and this is just one aspect of us doing it.
I love that. Well, we just have a few seconds left. Can you just maybe share a quick encouragement for anybody that's maybe working with youth right now?
Um, Not always easy. Sometimes it's very difficult working with youth, whether that's in your own home as you deal with your teenage kids, or out in the community as a teacher or youth worker. But I'm going to reiterate that phrase from earlier. Everyone is God's good idea. And I remind our staff often of that even the most difficult youth is loved and a good idea by God.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
My pleasure.
Well, for more information on the refuge, you can go to 700club.ca.